Chosen one, why do they flinch when you enter the room? Why does their laughter die the second you get close? Why do conversations halt mid-sentence like they've been caught doing something they shouldn't? They whisper your name behind closed doors now, because they finally realize something they'll never admit out loud. It's dangerous to mishandle someone heaven defends. You've felt it, haven't you? That shift. The way people who used to treat you like background noise now watch you like you're a live wire. Eyes drop, voices soften, the air gets thick, heavy, almost electric. You walk in, and suddenly there's this pause. Not peace, not comfort. It's the silence after thunder. The kind of quiet that comes when something powerful just passed through. You are divine voltage in human form. They don't know how to explain it, but their spirit does. Every time they stand near you, something inside them recalibrates. Lies get exposed, masks crack, fake smiles falter, because you carry a frequency they can't fake their way around. You're not just present, you're a walking reckoning, and whether they honor that or mock it, they feel it. Here's what they won't tell you. You thought you were being ignored, but heaven was marking you. Every rejection, a seal. Every betrayal, a refinement. Every moment you stood alone in the fire while others watched, God was branding you with something they'll never touch. Authority, not the kind you beg for, the kind that just is. The kind that makes demons nervous and pretenders panic. Listen, thank you to every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let me know. If you've ever felt people treat you differently for no reason, comment, I feel this. That's not paranoia. That's discernment awakening. That's your spirit, recognizing what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. You were never meant to blend in. Before this hour ends, you'll understand why heaven made your presence costly. Why access to you isn't casual anymore. Why those who mishandled you are now paying a price they never saw coming. This isn't a sermon. This is a divine interception. And you didn't find this message by accident. Heaven sent it. Now, let's talk about what happens when people forget who they're dealing with. Do you know what happens in the unseen realm when someone crosses you? Do you understand that every insult, every dismissal, every moment they treated you like you were nothing, it was all recorded? Have you ever wondered why the people who hurt you the most seem to be falling apart now, and you didn't even lift a finger? Let me tell you something that will shift everything you thought you knew about justice. There is a courtroom most people never see. No marble columns, no human judge. But it's more real than any building in Manhattan. And every single time someone mistreated you, someone anointed, someone marked, someone chosen, heaven opened a case file. They laughed at you, mocked your calling, dismissed your words like they were dust in the wind. But here's what they didn't know. Their laughter died in their throats the moment heaven's gavel fell. You see, beloved, when you carry the mark of God, you don't walk alone. There's a law in the spirit realm that operates whether people believe it or not. Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Psalm 105-15. That's not a suggestion. That's a divine mandate, a spiritual restraining order. And every time someone violated it, they triggered something they couldn't see but would absolutely feel. Think about it. That co-worker who sabotaged you at the meeting. Where are they now? That family member who belittled your dreams at Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago. Check their life lately. That so-called friend who ghosted you when you needed them most. They've been reaching out, haven't they? Suddenly. Desperately. Because the weight finally hit them. This is the invisible courtroom, and heaven's camera never turns off. They weren't reacting to your personality, they were reacting to your presence. That thing inside you that makes liars uncomfortable, that frequency that exposes fake smiles and exposes hidden motives. You carry something they can't manipulate, can't control, can't diminish. And when they tried, the universe itself pushed back. Access to you was never a right. It was permission, a privilege granted by the Most High. And when they abused it, when they treated you like you were common, ordinary, disposable, they didn't just lose you, they lost the covering you carried, the intercession, the grace, the divine favor that was shielding them just by standing near you. Now they're facing their own chaos without a buffer, and it's loud. Here's what I need you to understand, chosen one. This isn't about revenge. This is about divine order. You didn't curse them. You didn't plot against them. You simply stepped back. And when you stepped back, so did heaven's protection over them. That's the cost of mishandling sacred ground. Right now, I want you to do something. Write this in the comments. It's a privilege to stand in my presence, not out of arrogance, out of awareness, out of the revelation that God placed a weight on you that demands reverence. The anger you've carried, let it turn to validation. The confusion, let it settle into peace, because now you know. You weren't crazy. You weren't too sensitive. You were spiritually correct, and the courtroom ruled in your favor long before you ever knew a trial was happening. But here's the question that will take us deeper. What happens when you finally step into the full authority of who heaven says you are? You've noticed it, haven't you? The way people shift when you walk into a room, not because you said anything, not because you did anything, but because something in them starts to surface. Old guilt, hidden motives, unspoken lies. They fidget. They avoid your eyes. They change the subject faster than you can blink. Why? Because you are the mirror they can't escape. Your presence doesn't just fill space, it reveals what's been lurking in the shadows. You're not trying to expose anyone. You're not playing detective. But your energy, your spirit, it operates like divine light cutting through fog, and when truth walks in, lies have nowhere to hide. Listen to what happened in John 8. The Pharisees dragged a woman before Jesus, screaming about her sin, demanding judgment. They thought they had him cornered, but Jesus didn't flinch. He bent down, wrote in the dust, and said 6 words that shattered their performance. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. One by one, they dropped their rocks and walked away. Convicted, exposed, not by accusation but by the presence of truth itself. That's you. You don't have to point fingers. You don't have to raise your voice. Your silence is diagnostic. Your calm convicts. People stand next to you, and suddenly they can't keep pretending. The mask slips, the performance cracks, and they blame you for it. But here's what they'll never admit. You didn't create their discomfort. You just revealed what was already there. You're not harsh, you're honest, and honesty in a world full of lies feels like an attack. That's why they call you cold, distant, judgmental. Because being near you forces them to face what they've been running from for years. Unhealed wounds, buried shame, secret compromise. Being near you forces growth or punishment. You're not intimidating, you're revealing. I know you didn't ask for this. You wanted friendship, not friction. You wanted love, not resistance. You thought walking in truth would bring you closer to people, not push them away. But light never asks permission to shine. Fire doesn't apologize for exposing impurities, and neither should you. Some people will run from you. Others will grow because of you. But no one, and I mean no one, will walk away unchanged. That loneliness you've been carrying, that isolation, it's not punishment, it's preparation. God doesn't place mirrors in crowded rooms. He places them in sacred spaces. And you, beloved, are one of those rare souls chosen to reflect heaven's truth on earth. If you've lost friends after stepping into truth, type still shining. Let heaven see your endurance. Let the algorithm know you're not backing down. Because here's what's about to happen next. Those who mishandled the mirror are about to see the cost. And what they thought was rejection was actually protection, yours and theirs. So the question isn't why people can't handle you. The question is, what happens when they realize they needed you all along? They thought it was free, walking away, lying to your face, using your kindness like a credit card with no limit, draining your light, dismissing your truth, treating sacred ground like a sidewalk they could spit on and keep moving. They thought there would be no bill. But listen closely. Chosen one, spiritual economics never sleeps. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Galatians 6-7. Every word they twisted, recorded. Every time they laughed at your pain, noted. Every door they slammed in your face while heaven was opening another, written in the ledger. And the ledger always balances, not with your anger, not with your revenge, but with divine precision that makes earthquakes look gentle. You've seen it, haven't you? The friend who betrayed you now can't keep a friendship to save their life. The boss who humiliated you, watching their empire crumble, one scandal at a time. The family member who mocked your calling now, begging God for the very breakthrough they said you'd never have. That's not coincidence, that's consequence. Heaven doesn't forget what it anoints. And when you dishonor someone marked by God, you're not just offending a person, you're challenging the one who sent them. Ask King Saul. He had David cornered in a cave, defenseless, vulnerable. One strike and the chosen one would have been gone. But David spared him. Why? Because even in mercy, David understood something Saul never did. Touching God's anointed comes with a price tag hell itself can't pay. 1 Samuel 24 tells us David cut Saul's robe and immediately felt conviction, not fear. Conviction because even that small act felt like overstepping. And Saul? He lost his kingdom, his mind, and died on a battlefield, disgraced. But here's where mercy walks in. God doesn't move in vengeance to destroy. He moves in correction to restore order. When people mishandle you, He's not trying to ruin them, he's trying to wake them up. The consequences aren't curses, they're alarm clocks. Loud, painful, impossible to ignore. Because sometimes people don't change until the cost becomes unbearable. You didn't pray for their downfall. But you also didn't have to, because being near you isn't entertainment. It's exposure. Your presence is a spiritual X-ray. It shows fractures they've been hiding, lies they've been living, motives they've been burying under smiles and Sunday church clothes. And when they mishandle that, when they treat your light like it's disposable, the exposure doesn't stop. It intensifies. The room shifts, opportunities vanish, peace evaporates. They wake up one day wondering why nothing works anymore, why doors that used to swing open now stay locked, why people who used to trust them now keep their distance. And deep down, in the 3 a.m. silence they can't escape, they know. They know they mishandled something sacred. And now they're living in the aftermath. Type 777 if you've watched God vindicate you quietly. No words, no fight, just divine rearrangement. The verdict is in, the cost is real. And the ones who gambled with your presence, they're paying in ways you'll never have to mention. But here's what they'll never take from you. Let me ask you something that's going to shake you to your core. Why are you still here? No, really. Think about it. After everything hell threw at you, the betrayals that should have destroyed your faith, the sickness that doctors said would end you, the losses that felt like tombstones on your chest, why are you still breathing? Why are you still standing when others who faced half of what you did crumbled into dust? Because you are not an accident, you are evidence. You're the living, breathing receipt that divine power is not a fairy tale. You survived what was designed to erase you. That divorce that was supposed to break you, you're still here. That diagnosis they said was terminal, you outlived the prognosis. That financial collapse, that family betrayal, that season when you couldn't even recognize yourself in the mirror somehow, impossibly, You made it through. You are the diamond that survived the hammer. Most people don't understand what a diamond really is. It's just carbon, common, ordinary carbon that got buried miles beneath the Earth's surface. Then came the pressure. Unimaginable, crushing, relentless pressure. Heat that would vaporize anything weak. And time. Thousands of years of being squeezed, tested, refined in darkness. That's what makes a diamond unbreakable. That's your story. Every betrayal, pressure, every sleepless night, heat. Every moment you thought God forgot you, that was the refining. And now look at you. You didn't just survive, you became something hell can't shatter. The very trials meant to crush you turned you into something priceless, something rare, something that catches light in ways ordinary stones never could. Job lost everything. His children, his wealth, his health. Even his wife told him to curse God and die. Job 42:10 says, "After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before." Twice as much. Not because Job was lucky, because Job was evidence that faith outlasts fire. Daniel's friends were thrown into a furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. 7 times. They should have been ash in seconds. But Daniel 3:27 records that when they walked out, the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair of their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. No smell of smoke. That's supernatural preservation. That's what happens when heaven marks you as untouchable. And Romans 8:11 declares, "If the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his spirit who lives in you." The same power that resurrected a dead man from a sealed tomb is pumping through your veins right now. You are animated by resurrection power. So when people look at you confused, wondering how you're still standing, how you're still smiling, how you haven't lost your mind, don't explain yourself. You don't owe them a defense. You are the defense. You are Exhibit A in the courtroom of heaven that proves God keeps his promises. The fact that you're still standing is the evidence hell can't erase. Every scar is a signature. Every testimony is a courtroom document. You're not just surviving, you're testifying. And your life is screaming one verdict: God is real. Say it aloud right now. I am the evidence. Comment it below. Declare it over your life. Let the heavens echo your verdict. Because what you carry isn't just a story, it's proof that cannot be refuted. And if you're still here after everything you've faced, beloved, then buckle up. Because God doesn't preserve you just to let you sit in silence. He's about to use your survival as a weapon. They called you weak because you didn't fight back. They said you were scared because you didn't argue. They mistook your stillness for surrender. But here's what they didn't understand. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was warfare. You see, the world taught us that power is noise. That strength means shouting louder, clapping back harder, proving yourself faster. But heaven operates on a different frequency. God doesn't need volume to validate his voice. And neither do you. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Think about that. Moses stood at the Red Sea with an entire army breathing down his neck. The people were screaming, panicking, demanding answers. And what did God say? Be still, not be louder. Not defend yourself. Be still. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do to your enemy is absolutely nothing. Your silence is a sword still in its sheath. And the smartest warriors know you don't pull a blade unless you're ready to end it. Every time you chose not to respond, you weren't backing down. You were loading the chamber. You were letting heaven take notes. You were giving God room to move while your enemies dug their own graves with their words. I know what it's like. Maybe it was at that family gathering where they mocked your faith, talked over you, dismissed everything you stood for. You sat there, quiet, burning inside. But you didn't explode. Maybe it was at work, the backstabbing, the credit stolen, the whispers in the break room. You knew, you heard it all, but you kept your mouth shut. Or maybe it was at church, of all places. The politics, the favoritism, the fake smiles hiding sharp knives. And you stayed silent. Not because you were afraid, but because you were aligned. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Every word you didn't say, God recorded. Every tear you swallowed in silence, heaven bottled. Every moment you could have cursed them out but chose prayer instead, that was spiritual maturity they'll never reach. Because you learned something most people die without knowing. The loudest voice isn't the one speaking, it's the one that doesn't have to. You became thunder that sounds like peace. And now they're terrified. Because your silence didn't mean you forgot. It meant you trusted God to remember. And when heaven decides to speak on your behalf, no defense attorney in hell can overturn that verdict. So whisper this prayer with me right now. God, teach me to be thunder that sounds like peace. Say it again. Teach me to be thunder that sounds like peace. Because that's what you are. Restrained power, controlled fire. A storm with self-discipline. When they called you quiet, heaven called you qualified. And now you're about to see what happens when silent warriors finally get their orders to move. So before we close, let me remind you of what you need to carry with you from this moment forward. You are not ordinary. Your presence shifts atmospheres. Your silence carries weight. And every person who mishandled you is learning, whether they admit it or not, that being near you was never casual. It was sacred. You are marked by heaven. You are defended by the Most High. And your life is not an accident. It is an assignment. Remember this, chosen one. When they underestimated you, God was elevating you. When they dismissed you, heaven was marking you. When they walked away, they didn't just lose access to you, they lost the covering, the wisdom, the intercession that came with standing in your presence. And I need you to hear this clearly. You are not alone. Not for 1 second. Not in the midnight tears. Not in the moments when doubt whispers lies. Not when it feels like no one understands. God is still working. He's still moving. He's still fighting on your behalf. And there is a community right here, tens of thousands of believers ready to stand with you, pray with you, and remind you that your calling is real. So let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you finally believed what heaven has been saying about you all along? Think about that. Sit with it. And now, let's seal this moment with prayer. Heavenly Father, I come before you right now on behalf of every person watching this. Lord, you see them. You know their name. You know the battles they've fought in secret, the weight they've carried in silence, the tears no one else has seen. And Father, I thank you that you have never left them, not once. God, I pray for fresh strength right now. Rebuild what was broken, restore what was stolen, vindicate what was slandered, open doors that no man can shut. Silence every lying tongue. Confuse every plot formed against them. And let your favor rest so heavily on their life that even their enemies have to admit God is with them. Father, remind them daily that they are chosen, that their presence matters, that their silence is strategy, not weakness, that their peace is power, not passivity. Let them walk in the full authority you've given them, boldly, humbly, and without apology. Protect their mind. Guard their heart. Surround them with people who honor what you've placed on their life. And let every seed they've sown in tears come back as a harvest of joy, provision, and breakthrough. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I declare, they are covered, they are defended, they are victorious. Amen. If this message spoke to your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Comment below, tell me what God revealed to you today. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone who feels unseen, someone who's been mishandled. Remind them they are not alone. that there's a community here ready to pray with them, stand with them, and lift them up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, because every week we're releasing words that will strengthen your faith, sharpen your discernment, and remind you who you really are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching until the very end. That alone tells me you're serious about your calling. Now go walk in it, unshaken, unbothered, unstoppable. You are God's chosen, and heaven is watching.